Okay, so I'm having another issue with the Flexwash, guys. Check this out. So right now, there's a load in there. Um, we set it on heavy duty. It didn't finish because there's still softener left in there. The clothes are wet. This was started like 4 hours ago, and it just stopped. The display was off. And now when we try going into a drain and spin, because the clothes are soaked, we'll just even go to no spin. It starts up like it should. You hear it draining right now. So that's all fine. But just wait till it's done doing its startup routine. Or at least I think it's after it locks the door. Yep. What the hell is going on? Why are we doing it in steps? I've never seen this happen before. This is very weird. It's like for whatever reason the drain pump just can't run. I mean, I'm gonna check to see if there's something clogging the pump for whatever reason. I'm gonna see if it'll do anything. Okay, so it just stopped now. We'll see if it finishes. So what you guys saw in the last clip was the last you'll ever see of this machine running. So off camera, I did some more tests with it. By the way, I do apologize for the shakiness of my hand here. But what you guys saw was the drain pump down there pulsing on and off when we started, and the drum was not spinning. So I tried cleaning it to see if maybe something was stuck, and for whatever reason the pump wasn't able to run. That wasn't the issue. I cleaned it out. There was some lint, but it was practically nothing. So the water should have been able to flow through perfectly fine in there. So that wasn't the issue. So we tried running a few other cycles on it. Specifically, instead of just doing a drain and spin, tried doing a rinse and spin. And what happened when we did a rinse and spin was we noticed the water started pulsing. The water inlet valve was pulsing on and off. The drain somehow fixed itself after that. Now the water was the issue. Still no movement in the drum. So that just complicated things way more. We looked in the manual to see if there was anything about this. Mostly I was just concerned about the fact that the drum wasn't spinning. That was the biggest issue for me. Because if the drum wasn't spinning, then something really, really wrong was happening. So turns out that this is nothing wrong with the drain pump, with the inlet valve, or even the motor. This is a computer board issue. And the way I was able to confirm this was I ran it through a calibration cycle, which, for those of you who don't know, you can activate that by pressing temperature and delay end at the same time for, I think it was 3 seconds, and then CB will appear on the display. You press start, and that's how it runs the calibration for the weight sensing. They recommend you do this for both machines when you first install it, and that's what we did. But we haven't done it since. And obviously, if it's supposed to be calibrating the drum, then you would think the drum would spin during that cycle, right? Well, I sat here for the 25 to 30 minutes, however long it was, of it staying in the cycle before it eventually gave up because the drum wasn't spinning. All that was going on was from time to time the drain pump would turn on, and then it would just go back to sitting. Then the drain pump would turn on, and then it would go back to sitting. The drum didn't move at all. But the drain pump wasn't pulsing. It was running consistently. So that just made things all the more confusing. I even got on the phone with Samsung customer service and described the problem. And on call is when it gave up. And the way I know it gave up was because I heard the door unlock. And during the calibration cycle, it's like the sensing where you'll see the three digits like circling around. At the end of that, we just got three horizontal lines down the middle. And again, this happened on call. And when I told that to the lady who was helping me out, she was like, oh, yeah, that is very bad. And we would need to send out a service technician. This is not a problem that we've ever heard of happening before. Because that was one thing I asked was like, is this a common problem? Like, have you guys ever received a call about this? And I mean, granted, no guarantees that they would ever receive a call about something specific like that. Turns out they didn't. At least from what they told me. And she's like, yeah, we never received any calls about stuff like that happening. And, you know, that was just wonderful to hear. And then we actually had a family friend of ours who's a service technician on appliances. He's not a Samsung technician, but he services appliances. So we had him come over here and check this out. Apparently it's not the only Flexwash he's worked on, or if it isn't, then he was just really familiar with how the machine worked. And he said that it was a computer board issue too, because since the drain pump and the water inlet valves were pulsing, he said that was a relay issue. The relays were being turned on and off, and something was wrong there. Another thing that led him to believe, and in hindsight makes total sense, for why this is a computer board issue is because we never received any error codes for anything going on. You would think that if the machine knew that the drum wasn't spinning or that the water was pulsing or that the drain was pulsing, you would receive an error code of some kind. But no error codes, no beeping, nothing. It just stood there until I guess there's like a default time, and then it just times out. So I know this is definitely going to upset a lot of people hearing this, but in a couple of days' time, these machines are going to be out of here. They're leaving. This machine is practically dead. The dryer for now still works, but out of precaution, we're changing it. This machine was really cool. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to not only film it for you guys, but also just to experience it and play around with it myself while we had it. But it's done. I didn't get to cover every single cycle like I eventually hoped to, but I still got a lot out of it, so I'm very happy with that. The dryer, I got a video on the upper dryer. I really didn't do much on the lower dryer at all, but we don't even have the steam hooked up to it. Not my decision. I would have totally had that on, but whatever. Honestly, we had this back in 2019. I'm impressed that it lasted this long. I gotta admit, I am impressed that we got 5 years out of it. But we did. So, I suppose that's good, right? And just another thing that I thought was kind of funny was when I called Samsung customer service and I told them that I had a laundry-related issue. It was an automated message, but it said, if you're calling about the top-load washer problem, these aren't its exact words, by the way, but it was like, if you're calling about the top-loader washers that were sold between 2021 and 2022, press 1. For all other laundry problems, press 2. The fact that they had an entire division dedicated to a very specific set of appliances sold during a very specific set of time, I just thought that was hilarious and really goes to show the quality of Samsung's work. And even though they acknowledge that their work sucks, they're not ashamed. But here's solid proof that even though I was very lucky and got 5-ish years out of this machine, you can't trust a Samsung, so avoid them at all costs. And say goodbye to the Flexwash and FlexDry set. You'll be somewhat missed. That's right, everyone. The Flexwash and FlexDry machines were replaced by this new LG front-loading set. This is not the not their new like AI controlled thing, but this is exactly what I've always wanted and what they ended up wanting too. Was just a simple, easy to use, full like button display washer and dryer set. And I mean, so far these have done amazing. They're smaller than the Flexwash machines. Like the washer here is only 4.5 cubic feet compared to the Flexwash's 5, but that really isn't that big of an issue because overall the cycle times are much shorter. Right now it's on bedding, but if I were to go to normal with turbo wash, usually that ends up being between like either 29 minutes or 41, depending on the load size, which is still shorter than the Flexwash ever did. And personally, I think that this cleans much better, not only because we have the turbo wash nozzles, we got the 4-way turbo wash here, the atomizing sprayer, but also the 6-motion direct drive motor, or yeah, 6-motion direct drive technology in this as well. Then I also love these paddles. Like that's really important with a washer, is having good paddles to be able to lift the clothes up effectively and to truly clean. I didn't really think the Flexwash's paddles did that because they were basically just rectangles, but no, these not only pick up both ways, but they also have the ridges for extra cleaning and stuff like that. So that's really nice. Also love the fact that this has a dedicated dispenser drawer as opposed to the thing on the Flexwash on top, which was like impossible to clean. This is really easy. You just pull it out and you just let it air dry like that. The compartments are also nice and big, so that's really useful. Yeah, it's still got the steam and everything, turbo wash, like I said, so that's great. We did not get the twin wash pedestal washer with this because, I mean, not only are we a little, I don't want to say traumatized, but like a little like about the whole mini washer thing because of the Flexwash problems, but we also just never really used it. I mean, even when the Flexwash washer was working, as far as I'm aware of, I think I used it more for doing the videos than it was actually practically used. So no twin wash here, but there's also videos of the twin wash out there on YouTube as well, so you can go check out those videos if you'd like to see that in action or more info about it. Speaking of videos with this, there will be videos out on these machines, as I'm sure you will know, or as I'm sure you could have guessed. So as of now, I've already recorded the speed wash with turbo wash and the normal cycle default settings. I've already recorded videos of those cycles in action, but if you guys have anything else in particular that you'd like to see, please feel free to leave requests in the comments, just so I have an idea of what you guys want to see with this, because it does put on a great show. LG washers are notorious, I'm sure, for doing that because of just how they get the job done. It's different than most other front-load washers on the market. So yeah, that'll be interesting. The dryer, you might not think there's a lot to mention about the dryer here, but I actually love the fact that when you turn it on, the light actually stays on. So that's great. The Flex Dry, you had to turn it on to turn the light on too, but it also didn't stay on for nearly as long. I really like the paddle design here as well. This is a 7.4 cubic foot drum from what the listing said, and I believe the Flex Dry was 7.5. I don't know. This feels smaller than the Flex Dry, so maybe the Flex Dry was bigger even, but I don't know. Either way, I like this one much better because these paddles are actually like tall, so it's not like those weird, like really short paddles that the Flex Dry had, which would cause blankets to ball up and stuff like that. Like I've never had an issue with blankets balling up in this dryer, And I always wash 2 blankets a week. So, and what is this now, the 5th week we've had them? So, yeah. That and the, sorry about my camera twisting around, guys. That's not intentional. The lint screen, I like that it's flat. It's much better than that basket design. I know people liked the basket design, but I mean, we ended up having to replace the FlexDry's lint basket because of the basket design at the seam where where it rounded out, the plastic broke. So because of like the constant moving and flexing of the plastic and the hot and cold for 5 years wore down on it. So won't have that issue with this. You'll notice here this is also a steam dryer, and unlike with the FlexDry, which did have steam but we never hooked it up, we actually do have the steam hooked up on this dryer, so we've been able to utilize that. It's been great for de-wrinkling clothes, getting rid of static. I was always confused on what the reduced static thing did on the FlexDry, but I think it was mostly, I think it required the use of the steam feature, but we never had it hooked up, so that we never really got to utilize that. But with this dryer, we do. I used the reduced static cycle just a couple days ago, actually, or the reduced static option, I should say. And yeah, that's what it does. It just steams at the end. So yeah, this is a great laundry pair. Love that we have these now. And I'm really excited for what's going to be in store, both just for doing regular laundry here and for what I'll be able to get out of these for YouTube as well. So again, if you guys have any requests, please leave them down below. Not guaranteeing that I'll be able to make every request, but that'll just give me an idea of what you guys might be interested in seeing. So with that, thank you all very much for watching this video. Hope you found it interesting, exciting, and enjoyable. And remember, stay cool, everybody.